CreditAccess Grameen is the next management on the show. There is incremental stress in the portfolio, which has risen massively. The disbursals have declined 44% sequentially. To discuss this and more, we have Udaya Kumar Hebbar, who is the MD of CreditAccess Grameen. Mr. Hebbar, good morning and thanks for joining in. First, if you can tell us what's the outlook on the NPAs, because there is a lot of incremental stress in the portfolio. So can you give us some guidance on what asset quality could look like going forward? I mean, your gross NPA ratio is still around 1.5%. Do you think it can get worse before it gets better?
Good morning. Very happy to be here. So our credit cost is slightly increased. If you look at our guidance, we actually increased the credit cost guidance during the start of the year to 2.4%. Whereas again, today we are at net credit cost of 2.6%, considering some difficulty in the first quarter. But however, we would like to reiterate that our credit cost guidance of 2.2 to 2.4% will remain same. We will be able to manage within that. While we are talking about the increased credit cost, we need to note that our credit cost is based on stage 2 consideration at 15 days DPD and stage 3 considering at 60 days DPD, which means we have almost 116 bips higher provisioning as against our 90 days DPD. So which therefore it's a question of early recognition of risks actually. So we estimated a little higher risk compared to last year and guided accordingly. So therefore, we would reiterate again that our credit cost will remain within 2.2 to 2.4%, which we guided for annual FY24-25.
All right. Hi, good morning, Mr. Hebbar. Got that. So 2.4% odd is what we're talking about on credit costs. Give us a sense about the AUM growth for the year. What are you looking at on a year-on-year basis? Yeah. It's up by 20%. On a sequential basis, it's mildly lower. So tell us for this year and the next, what kind of growth are you looking at? And also the retail segment, their growth has been quite robust and it's moved up. As a percentage of your total mix, what do you see this book move to, the retail finance AUM?
Yeah. First quarter disbursement resonates normal, low or a muted first quarter always. So there is not too much variation between FY Q1 24 to Q1 25, which is muted. And when we always keep telling that whenever this election, there will be muted growth because of the operational difficulty during that period, or there are some limitations in due to code of conduct. That's common for the microfinance sector. Therefore, it resonates the first quarter syndrome. And while we're giving the guidance for the year, we guided 23-24% overall growth, whereas microfinance growth we guided as 20% as against 24.7% of FY24. We have actually reduced the guidance for microfinance growth, and overall our growth should be 23-24%, which we don't see any downside risk for that. Retail is definitely robust. We agree that we would be growing higher in retail because we have a large number of retained customers who are vintage customers, and this retail is nothing but giving the differential or what you call product which is needed for them, like two-wheeler loans, individual business loans, LAP or home for our vintage customers. Therefore, we have a large number of customers who out of 5 million, even 10% of if you convert, we have 15-20,000 crores potential portfolio in the next 4-5 years. Accordingly, we believe that retail should go as usual, and microfinance growth may taper down. This year, we estimated 20%. We are quite within that guidance, and we reiterate our guidance for the year on AUM growth.
Right. So thank you for joining us, Prashant here.
Hi, Prashant.
So on microfinance, sir, are you going slow, or is there sort of slower uptake of credit?
No, it's basically, as our base is increasing, we cannot keep growing at 25-30%. So therefore, we believe that it would taper down a bit. That's why our next 4 or 5 years of guidance, we actually said that microfinance is slowly tapered down by 1 or 2% per year, whereas retail will take that space. So therefore, we believe that it will still grow overall 23-24%, but microfinance would be about 20%, which is what we guided actually, and maybe 1% each year it may come down, considering the base is increasing continuously.
Mr. Hebbar, one of the things we've heard from many in the industry is, rising leverage across the customer base for NBFCs, banking, everyone, right? And one of the ways it manifests is multiple loans that each good customer has. I mean, could you just tell us, how are you mitigating some of that risk?
Yeah, it looks like little higher leveraging, but you have to see from FY20 to FY24 or FY19 because there is a dip in the leverage, there is a dip in the GLP per customer and increase after COVID. If you see from 1920 to today, it may be a 15% increase or a 14% increase. But because we are looking only 2 to 3 years, last 2 years after COVID, it looks little high leverage. So we don't see too much leverage in our industry. Also, growth is not very high. But yeah, little leverage is increasing. Number of loans also increasing. But we put an internal rule that we will not be the more than fourth lender. Maybe some states we may be only third lender. Now that even MFIN, the industry body, aligned with all the members, including the microfinance, the banks, SFBs, and NBFCs, together, we decided that we will not be lending more than as a fourth lender. It should not be more than fourth lender. Overall leverage of the client should not be more than 2 lakh. So these are the guardrails, MFIN as an association we put in. I think this should further help to strengthen and build resilience in the microfinance industry. This will help further.
Okay, all right. Mr. Hebbar, just to reconfirm that number, the AUM growth for the year is 22 to 23%, right? 23 to 24%. Okay, and retail finance moves to mid-teens as a percentage of your book in the coming years?
So it should be by 28, we estimate it should be about 15% of our overall book.
Got it. All right. What about the NIMs? We've got growth, credit cost, and tell us about NIMs. What's the guidance for that?
We guided about 12.6 to 12.9%. We should be within that. And this year we guided at about 12.6 to 12.9. We should be able to manage that. So we did the risk-based pricing at a district level. We identify the risks at district level. The provision we make at district level. So we align the pricing, the risk and provision all to a district and granular level, which helps us to manage the risk and price accordingly and provide accordingly.
Okay, well, thank you, Mr. Hebbar, for joining in and talking about CreditAccess Grameen.